All right, it's now 5 o'clock, so I'll call this our Finance Committee meeting to order. I see that we have quorum tonight, and we also have Councilor Ursamarov joining us. Hi, Maria, glad you're here. So we have one item before our agenda. Kathy, do you want to read that by title?
Proposal number 7, 2020, amending prior bond ordinances, authorizing the issuance of certain waterworks revenue bonds of the city and repealing ordinances inconsistent herewith.
Okay. And I'm assuming everybody got the email with the actual ordinance in it. Controller Fenwick, would you like to give us some details on this ordinance, please?
Sure. Just to start off with a little bit of history. So this ordinance was originally passed in 2017, and it authorized the water utility to borrow up to the amount, which I don't have in front of me, but it was like 20 million and some change. And so the water utility borrowed a phase one in 2017 that was around 8 million. And we borrowed through the state revolving loan fund on that issuance. So there's still a phase two of projects that needs to get done. The water utility refunded existing bonds in late 2017, and those bonds had been originally issued in 2007 and 2009, and they had roughly, on average, about a 7% interest rate. So when those bonds were originally issued in 07 and 09, that borrowing included about $1 million to cash fund a reserve fund. So that money was costing the utility about $70,000 a year to cash fund that reserve, which was also earning no interest. So when we refunded those bonds in 2017, we amended this ordinance to allow the utility to secure a surety bond in lieu of cash funding the reserve. And by doing that, it only cost us about $30,000. So we saved at the utility roughly over $700,000 by putting a surety bond in place instead of cash funding the reserve. So the first amendment we're requesting to this ordinance would be to allow the water utility to secure another surety bond for this phase two project so we don't have to cash fund that reserve. Then the second amendment that we're asking for, the original ordinance had a maximum maturity of 20 years, and we're asking it to be amended to enable the water utility to sell up to a 30-year maturity. And given how low interest rates are, we want to go out as long as we can. The current interest rate on a 30-year borrowing for the water utility is about 2.8%. So honestly, if I could do that for even longer, I would do that. But state law limits it to 30 years. So those are the two amendments being requested to this ordinance. One is to allow us to do another surety bond, and then two, change the maximum maturity from 20 years to 30 years.
What was the percentage rate again? I couldn't hear you, Jason. It cut out.
It's approximately 2.8%.
Okay. And that 700,000 savings, that was over the life of the bond, correct?
Yes, because those they had been out roughly 10 years, and so if you figure it cost us $70,000 a year on the interest costs to fund that cash reserve, yes.
So it was 2.8% for the 30-year?
Yes.
What is it for the 20?
A 20-year would be about 2.6.
Okay. Do you have a total cost or a total savings idea on this bond? Doing it this way, the 30 versus the 20?
Doing a 30 versus a 20 will end up costing the utility about 200-ish thousand over the additional 10-year period. But given how low rates are, and what it also will do is lower the annual debt service payment such that it will free up more money each year to do additional capital projects outside of a borrowing, including water main replacements.
Yeah, because we have to think that we're adding, we're doing something positive for that 2030, that 2040 council that may sit here in the future.
Absolutely.
Are there any
Jason?
other questions? Oh, go ahead, Tom. Start.
Yeah, I do. Going back to that reserve, I was trying to remember this conversation from 3 years ago. And it may not be this one, so I may be wrong, but wasn't there a bond that we did that there was supposed to be a reserve as part of the bond, but the reserve was never created? Was that this one, or was that a different one that I'm thinking about?
There were, on the 07 and 09 water bonds, they were partially funded. So how most, so we had to make a kind of make whole payment, if you will, when we refunded those bonds. And then similarly on the sewer side, there was one reserve that was partially funded but not wholly funded. And we had to make those whole as well.
And that was on in this particular, the 07 and 09 ones that you.
Yeah, the 07 and 09s, yes.
Okay.
Helps if I unmute myself. All right, do we have any other questions? We're good? Okay. Do we have a motion to recommend?
I'd like to make a motion to recommend for approval, to recommend to full council.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it. I'll second it.
Is a second by Councilor Chavis. Ms. Walton, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Chavis,
Aye.
Counselor Denny,
Aye.
Counselor Giles,
Aye.
Counselor Chevlot.
Aye.
Okay, it's 4-0, due pass to the council.
All right. Do we have any comments from the community? Did anybody call in on the line or send an email?
Nope.
Okay. Councilor Romasaroff, I mispronounced your name.
Don't worry about it.
Did you want to make any comments tonight, or are you? Oh, you're muted.
Thank you for the information, very informative, and I appreciate all the hard work on this.
Yep. All right, meeting. Now, I know we could talk about bonds for a very long time, and water bonds, it's one of my favorite topics, but our council president gave us 30 minutes, so we're under that time, and we've ran through our agenda, so meeting adjourned.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.